There's very little times in my life that I can recall my mom not being pregnant when I was growing up, which, you know, makes sense because I'm the third out of 8, and so that's 5 after me if I can do math right. Up until I was 13 years old was when our youngest brother was born. So that's a good chunk of my childhood that my mom was pregnant, and I always remember it was never an easy thing, but it was also normal. It was normal for us. It wasn't out of the ordinary, and so it just was the way things were.
The hardest part was mom being sick and being on bed rest because she was not able to participate as much in a lot of like family activities, and growing up that was difficult, being a kid, and I just thought it was normal. I just thought it was normal for moms to be sick in bed with babies, and it was pretty consistent for a while through Matthew and Aaron, and just feeling like I didn't get to experience some of the things I would have if mom wasn't as sick. But then there's also the question, what was the best part? And I think that was learning and gaining a perspective on what it's like to have someone not be sick and somebody there for you.
I'm Rebecca. The hardest part about mom being pregnant was probably the lack of attention I got, because I was kind of an attention hog. Still kind of am. The best part was it meant I got a new sibling, and it was very exciting. I love to tell my friends at school about it. I'd be like, hey, guess what? I'm getting a new little brother. My mom's pregnant. She's having a baby. That means I get another sibling. The hardest part about mom being pregnant was the fact that she was so sick all the time. I remember days where she was not able to get out of bed and do the things that she wanted to do, and it was hard to see her do that and suffer with that. But then it was also hard because it's like, oh, you know, there are so many kids, and yet she decided to be pregnant 8 times, and so we had to figure out what to do in order to help. And I think that that's one of the better parts about her being pregnant as well, as I learned how to help the family. I remember Harry and Hannah being born, and Hyatt and Rachel and Rebecca, and all of these kids that came after me that I had the privilege to be their sibling. And so that was probably the best part about mom being pregnant, is because it brought a new soul to our family.
The hardest part about Sarah being pregnant was when her health was getting worse, and they called in an internist and some other doctor, and they were trying to weigh the health of Sarah versus the health of the baby. And for me, it was easy. It was like, let's prioritize the health of Sarah. But on the other hand, Sarah would really be upset if we made a decision to prioritize her health over the baby's health. And that was the hardest part, was trying to balance that and realizing that I was going to absolutely prioritize the health of Sarah. Best part of Sarah being pregnant is she was pregnant a lot of the time with other people that we knew, either being really close to friends or related to. So my sister-in-laws were pregnant at the same time as Sarah, and Sarah's sister-in-laws were pregnant at the same time as her. So it was really neat. So now all these cousins we match up really well with a bunch of cousins. There's some gaps in there, but for the most part, it's kind of neat how they all came down to earth at the same time.
And what was the hardest part of mom being pregnant?
The hardest part of my mom being pregnant is, well, I'm the youngest of the family, so I didn't really get to see a pregnancy, so there's nothing I could say.
What was the best part?
can't say.
The hardest part of being pregnant was the nausea, for sure. I always forgot how really bad it was until I got pregnant again. And then it was like, oh yeah, this is why I hate to be pregnant, because you're nauseous all the time. There's no such thing as morning sickness for me. It was all the time, night and day, horrible nausea. And it's horrible to live with. Just very hard to live with being nauseous 24/7. It affected everything. I couldn't do things because I was on the verge of throwing up constantly.
What was the hardest part of mom being pregnant?
The hardest part of mom being pregnant. I don't really remember much.
What about the best part of mom being pregnant?
That Aaron survived. The best part of mom being pregnant was that Aaron was born.
I think the hardest part of mom being pregnant was, now I'm grateful for it, but when I was in the moment, I remember being frustrated that I had to be a little bit more independent. I had to do more to take care of myself and my siblings. And sometimes I wanted more of a presence. I do remember one time I was doing homework with my best friend, and I was at her house, and her mom was like, all right, we're gonna do this subject now, and walking her through everything, and like made her pull out her planner. And I was like, what? My mom's never done that before. And I don't know why I was jealous, but I was like, wow, I wish I had that, but I didn't need that. And ultimately, I feel like it has given me opportunities now to be more independent and to problem solve and figure things out for myself and on my own. And so that's been really nice. And my mom cared for me in ways that were different than the way my friends' moms cared for them. I think the best part of mom's pregnancies were probably just the excitement of having another sibling, and also the learning experiences. Honestly, there's nothing that I would trade those experiences for as far as learning from her pregnancies.
The best part, of course, for me was having the baby. I mean, you know, when somebody asks you, go back in a time of your life when you were the happiest and when you had feelings of joy. I always go back to when I'm having that baby and when that baby is in my arms for the first time. It's just, there's no other feeling than having a new life enter into the world and be yours to take care of.
What were some of the trials that I overcame during her pregnancies? Well, I mean, I learned how to take care of myself a little better. I was really young though. The last pregnancy I was 8 years old, and second to last I was 6. So I wasn't really old enough to like overcome or remember, I guess. I mean, so how did it affect me for the future? It taught me a lot. It taught me how to provide for myself.
Hi, my name is Hannah, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about my experiences with growing up and having such a large family. Obviously, my mom was pregnant quite a few times, and yet again, it wasn't easy. I remember, especially with Matthew and Aaron, who are the last, I took on more responsibility, and that's okay. It was good. But I fondly remember I was homeschooled for 5th grade, and so I would get my little sister Rebecca ready for school for kindergarten every morning. I would do her hair, and I would make her breakfast and get her shoes tied, whatever, get her ready for kindergarten. And that was just my daily routine because my mom was on bed rest, and so I was home and I was able to help, and so that's what I did every day before getting on to schoolwork and whatnot. But
And that kind of answers the question of the best part and what I've taken away from it, which is a lot of practice and a lot of knowledge on how to take care of kids and how to be responsible and independent. A lot of the time was making meals and feeding the kids, changing diapers. And I thought as a kid, it was hard because I looked at my friends and I was like, I can't, why don't you guys have to babysit every night? I babysit every night. That's not fair. And I was just so frustrated as a kid because I had to always babysit. I had to feed the kids. I had to change their diapers and watch them and be there because mom was busy making or having kids and being sick, and dad was supporting us and you know, putting food on the table. And now I have a perspective that it was not a bad thing. And I did have a really good time. I had lots of friends and I had a lot of free time. So I got the best of both worlds because now I'm pretty confident that I can take care of children, and I know that I have a lot to learn, but I have so much practice with my little siblings, with Matthew, Aaron, even Rachel. I played with her. Even though I was a younger kid, I watched her. I started babysitting at 7 years old, and that's just a wonderful skill to have and really good experience. And for that, I'm very grateful.
Some of the trials that our family overcame was the fact that mom was so sick and that dad had to work. And so we would oftentimes, I remember, learning how to take care of the family, change diapers, do the things that need to be done so that I could help support. Now, I wasn't necessarily good at it, but I learned how to do it and help support by cleaning and taking care of the kids and babysitting. And I've learned a lot of skills because of that. So because of that trial and the things that I've overcome with that, I've learned a lot about how to be a mother that I would have not learned before. Mom told me, she's like, yeah, I never learned that until I had kids. And it's like, oh, well, I've learned that now because she gave me the opportunity because she was pregnant. And because I was the oldest, I had the opportunity to take care of kids and learn new things.
So some of the trials, the biggest trial of the pregnancy was when, I think it was with number 5, Rebecca. It was Sarah's 5th pregnancy. And I think she had diabetes plus preeclampsia. And it was the health issues. And in my mind, I kept thinking that this has got to be the last one. This has got to be the last child. This is not okay for Sarah's to go through this. And then to have her decide that we were going to have one more, being Rachel, number 6. And the relief of knowing, oh, good, we're done. And we got rid of all of our baby stuff, the cribs, and we were going to be completely done. And then Sarah came home from church kind of emotional, and she was upset and said that she thought we should have another one. And I knew she was right. So that was a trial, and very tough. But it was absolutely worth it. Matthew and Aaron are a joy. And Sarah came through that after improving her health dramatically between Rachel, number 6, and Matthew, number 7. And this affected our future because we decided to have more. Everything kept resetting. So Sarah and I were planning on serving missions together. I served a mission when I was 19, and I am so looking forward to serving a mission where I get to choose my companion. Oh, I cannot wait, but I have to, because our youngest needs to be on their own, either out of the house or at college. So with Rachel, we got within 14 years of being able to submit our papers and go serve a mission. And then we started the clock over again when we had Matthew, and then again when we had Aaron. So we're now as close as we have ever been in our marriage to being able to serve a mission together because our youngest is 7 years old.
What were some of the trials our family or you overcame during her pregnancies? If you don't have an answer, that's okay.
Some of the trials.
Yep.
I overcome. I think none.
I mean, you were born.
Yeah.
Good job, Matt.
I was born. I haven't seen a pregnancy.
Okay. What were some of the trials our family or you overcame during her pregnancy?
Well, I died. That's one thing.
Okay. How did this affect you in the future?
I don't know.
Some of the trials that we had and we overcame during my pregnancies were taking care of other kids, because when you're pregnant and you're down, taking care of all the rest of the kids is really, really hard. You're not allowed to be self-centered after you have a certain amount of kids, more than one, really, because you have to take care of everybody. And yeah, there were times when I couldn't take care of myself, let alone the kids, and my husband Cameron had to step up. The girls had to step up. I think Elizabeth was making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches when she was 4, and she was doing it for everybody and me because I needed to eat too.
Some of the trials that I had to overcome during my mom's pregnancies were, again, being independent, having to problem solve by myself. And I think going back on what was challenging for me during those pregnancies was that in the future, I have so many hard skills that I can apply to my life now. It never occurred to me until later on in life that it wasn't normal, the way we grew up and the way we experienced life. And I do remember being scared a few times because Mom would, be not okay, and they'd be taking her into the doctor, and which is, good things. But I remember I was always pretty scared and worried that something would go wrong and that she wouldn't be okay or the baby wasn't okay, and everything always ended up working out. And so I'm very grateful.
How did it affect me in the future? I feel like I can pretty much do anything because I had 8 children, and it's a really satisfying thing to think I got through that. And it was a really tough thing to get through. But the fact that you do it one at a time and one day at a time makes it possible.
My favorite memory of Mom being pregnant is me and my mom would run errands. It was fun because she would say, hey, get in the car, let's go. We'd go to grocery shopping, and then she'd be tired and she's like, okay, we're going to stop at fast food. And her one thing was onion rings, especially with Hyatt. It was like, we're going to Sonic, getting onion rings, and I got a burger every time, and it was awesome. I was like, yeah, Mom's pregnant, therefore she goes out to eat more often. I was so happy about that.
Do you have any stories about Mom's pregnancies?
No, not really.
Mom being pregnant. I think my favorite memory was when, I wish I could remember. Hannah, Mary, or Elizabeth could probably tell you which pregnancy it was. It must have been Matthew because they were all at the hospital with Aaron's pregnancy. So when Matthew was being born, we stayed home and Mom went to the hospital, and it was later at night. So we were up late. We got to stay up. We played Mario Bros. And then we watched a Disney Channel show, Lab Rats, which we didn't get explicit permission to watch it, but we were home alone. Mom and Dad were at the hospital, and so it was really exciting. It was like a new experience. And I remember finding out that Matthew was going to be a boy, or Mom's first or second boy, because I had always wanted a brother, and me and my best friend Rylan Rhodes, we had talked a lot about like, oh man, how cool would it be if I had a little brother, if like the next kid was a boy. We would, and me and Rylan talked about, we're standing in his garage talking about how we can teach him how to build fires, and he can like join us and play with us. Both me and Rylan not knowing that it takes a long time for a kid to grow up, but I was still so excited. And I came home on the bus. We were living in the Falling Star House at the time in the 11th ward, and our bus stop was down the road. And one of my sisters maybe told me that it was a boy, so I found out at school, and I remember jumping off the bus and yelling, "I'm gonna have a baby brother!" And I must have seen that in the movies or something, because I did that exact thing. So that's probably my favorite memory of mom being pregnant, is getting my first little brother.
My favorite memory of being pregnant, there's a lot of them. Well, there's a couple things. I remember on Sunday nights, I would really look forward to watching the PBS Masterpiece Theater with my husband. And it was always in a very groggy state, and I didn't feel well, but it was something to look forward to, and I really enjoyed that memory of just relaxing with him and enjoying some time, even though I felt awful.
I remember specifically one night, it was later. It was like a Friday night, I think, because we were all up and we were watching a movie, the older kids, and my dad came out and said, "Hey, I'm gonna be taking mom to the doctor." And I just remember seeing her like shaking and shivering, and I was like, oh my goodness, like something is not right. And I got really scared, and so we ended up staying up super, super late, not because we wanted to, but just because I was so on edge, and I think my other sisters were as well. We were just worried, and everything ended up being okay, and we are very blessed to be able to tell that story where everything did end up being okay. And so I am very grateful.
Hyatt was sick with the stomach flu when I was pregnant, and I remember him having so much compassion for me, and he was just like, "I'm so sorry, Mom. I wish I wasn't sick, and I wish you didn't have to take care of me." And because I was taking care of him and his vomit, and all the while feeling like I'm gonna vomit myself, and actually probably did after I helped him.
My favorite memory about mom being pregnant was probably just like the excitement, especially with Aaron. I remember like going to school and be like, guess what? I was talking to my friend Benjamin. I'm like, we might name my little brother Benjamin. That was a name on our list, and like just coming up with the names was always so fun.
My favorite memory of Sarah being pregnant, it's my favorite memory because it was so shocking to realize what life was. I remember coming into the bathroom and she was in the tub. She was very pregnant, and she said, "Look at this." And she turned her pregnant belly sideways, and all of a sudden this thing inside of her, it was Elizabeth, just kind of moved from one side, pushing out on her tummy, to the other side. And I was just like, whoa, there's life there. And I know that's ridiculous. It should not have been as profound as it was, but very clearly remember being a little grossed out and crazy fascinated by the fact that there was something alive inside of Sarah.
Hannah was a little bit older when I got pregnant with Hyatt, so she would walk around the house, and she had an ice cream bucket that she would gag into, because she thought that was normal behavior. You know, you carry around a bucket and you gag into it, because that's what I was doing all day. And so that was kind of a fun memory, is having her emulate me in a very, very weird way.
One of my favorite memories, which isn't actually my memory of my mom's pregnancies, is when my mom was pregnant with Hyatt. She was very sick, and Hannah would follow her around with a little bucket and pretend to throw up. Anyways, that one was funny. But also, some of my favorite memories were getting to feel the baby kick for the first time. That was really exciting.
A great memory that I've had is just watching the baby kick and being able to be aware of how the baby's growing, when the baby's growing, the babies.
One of the stories from when Mom was pregnant is like the only story I remember and have. This is one of the things that actually taught me how to provide for myself, as I keep saying. So basically, I got home from school and I was 6. So I was like really young. I was in like first grade or like kindergarten. And I got home and I was like, Mom, I'm hungry. And she was really pregnant. She's like in her 3rd trimester. Like, I don't even know how far along. But she's getting close to giving birth. And I just remember I got home and I was like, Mom, I'm really hungry. What's my snack today? And she's like, just go grab something from the fridge. And I was like, okay. And I went and I opened the fridge, and all I remember was there were grapefruit cups. Like, the fridge was full of them, and that's all there was. And it was like, me as a child, I hated grapefruit. I still don't like it. And I was like, but Mom, there's only grapefruit. And she's like, it's okay, you can have some. Because that's like one of the only things she ate when she was pregnant with Matthew was grapefruit and like vegetables. But like, I didn't know how to prepare anything. And these were like pre-made grapefruit cups from Costco. And she's like, just have whatever's in the fridge. And I like went and opened it. It's just grapefruit. And that's like one of the first times I tried it. And it was bad. That was the worst snack I think I've ever had. But yeah, it was pretty funny.
When I was pregnant, I had to eat or I would get even sicker. But the thought of eating and thinking about food, oh, it was so hard because it made me feel so much sicker. And so I would tell Cameron just to make me something, and he would bring it to me. And this one time, I was so sick and I was like, honey, please just get me something to eat. And he made me a chicken thigh. And when he brought it to me, it was greasy and it was dark, and I mean, for anyone who wasn't pregnant, it probably looked delicious and tasted delicious. But I just looked at it and I was like, I can't. And I told him, I said, I can't eat that. Try again to bring me something that I can actually eat. And I couldn't tell him what I could actually eat because I didn't know what I could actually eat. And so I'm sure it was super frustrating for him, because here I am unsatisfied with whatever he's bringing me, but needing so badly to eat, which is why I had a lot of go-tos for each pregnancy. They were all different, but I had my go-to food that I would learn that I could eat no matter what. And for Hyatt, it was peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. For Rachel, it was refried beans. For Rebecca, it was protein shakes. For Elizabeth, it was saltine crackers. For Mary, it was chicken and peanuts. I think mostly peanuts were my go-to with Mary, but I do remember eating chicken too. But Mary was peanuts. Hannah was chocolate pudding. I've already done Hyatt, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I would wake up in the middle of the night and be like, Cameron, go make me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I'm gonna puke. I need food. And he would get up and he'd go make me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and I would scarf it down and go back to sleep. Rebecca, eggs, which I later found out I was allergic to. But I ate eggs every day of her pregnancy, I think. Matthew, grapefruit. And Aaron, what did I eat with Aaron? Oh, Aaron, I ate protein bars from Nature Valley protein bars from Costco. I would eat them every morning before I got out of bed. I would eat at least one Nature Valley protein bar. And that was my go-to with Aaron. So each kid was different.
I don't know how this affected me in the future, but I know that Matt's crazy and he says that I'm basically a zombie to everybody, especially when we're playing games that involve, well, zombies. Like I said, I am the last born, so that means I've never seen it, but I've done it.
Okay.
So I've been in it.
Well, thank you, Erin. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
And probably the pregnancy that was best was actually Erin's. And the reason for that is it was absolutely the last one.
Which pregnancy was the best and easiest for me? I would have to say Matthew's pregnancy was the easiest and the best because I had gestational diabetes and I was very good with my diet. I didn't eat a lot of carbohydrates. I was super healthy. I would have protein and vegetables. And so I didn't gain much weight with him. And so by the end of pregnancy, I wasn't heaving myself up the stairs, trying to make it to the end of pregnancy because I wasn't that much bigger than when I started. I think I gained like a total of 10 pounds. Like I didn't even go into the 20s. And so that pregnancy was pretty easy. Plus, my youngest was 4 when he was born. So that had never happened. I never had a gap between pregnancies that was that large. So Rachel was easier to take care of for the older kids. She was potty trained. She could eat chicken nuggets. She didn't need a special diet. She didn't need to be breastfed. I was still breastfeeding Matt when I was pregnant with Aaron. So having a 4-year-old versus a smaller child while I was pregnant made all the difference. Plus, my health was better. It was right when I stopped eating gluten, which I didn't know I had a problem with prior to that. And I just felt so much better physically that it was an awesome pregnancy. I even though I did have the gestational diabetes, it was the easiest pregnancy. Also, the kids were super helpful. My oldest was, when I was pregnant with Matt, she was 14. So having the helpers with all the rest of the kids, I could pretty much lay in bed all day and not worry about what was going on because they could take care of each other. And it was awesome. It was totally worth it.
Who's the best? Obviously mine. It's what brought me here, right? I'm just kidding. Which was like the easiest? I don't know, Matthew's. Aaron's was, I don't remember a lot, so I guess, yeah. But the best pregnancy, I can't really say. I'm the 5th child of 8, so, it honestly depends, but I should probably be more humble about it not being mine.
The easiest pregnancy for me was Elizabeth because I wasn't here. And then the best pregnancy, I would probably say and I know that it probably wasn't for Mom. She was pretty sick with both, but I really thought Matt's was cool just because Mom had just had a miscarriage, and so he was a little miracle baby. And then also, I really, really loved when Mom was pregnant with Aaron because we'd be waking up in the night. And maybe this was when Aaron was born too. I don't really remember, but we were always Matt spent nights in my bed and he was just a little baby. But I think that maybe Aaron, I don't know. I don't remember, but
Ella was taking care of the other baby when she was pregnant with the baby. So, but Matt was probably the most exciting for me.
The best pregnancy was probably mine because I don't remember it. And the easiest one for me was probably like Hannah, because I was too young to babysit, and I was too young to do anything, and I just, was a young kid, but I didn't realize what was going on, but I didn't need like special attention, and I don't remember Mary's, so.
Probably shouldn't. It's hard for me to be open on this because I wouldn't want someone to misunderstand the fact that the joke is I was happy with one child, and here we have 8. And so I don't want people to misunderstand thinking that I didn't want the children that we had, and that as if I wasn't part of the decision. Generally speaking, though, the decision went something like this. Sarah would come and we would start talking, and we would say, well, okay, so we were probably going to have another child. When should we start talking about getting pregnant? And we would immediately be pregnant. So I was always involved in the discussion for certain, but the best pregnancy was absolutely Aaron's, because it was the last, and so much pressure of health was taken off, and we could start to raise our family knowing that our family was here and not have that questioning of, is there going to be more? Because if you look at it, we had more coming for the first 6. So, for the first 10 years of our marriage, there was always another child on its way. And then we had 4 years off, and then 2 additional babies coming in the next 2 years. So anyway, that's what made the pregnancy the best.
And I know that even though it wasn't easy, and that we probably had more responsibility because of just the scary, not necessarily scary, but just because of the high risk pregnancies that she had, we were able to learn a lot more on how to take care of ourselves and how to take care of the younger kids, which I think has helped me a lot. I am incredibly independent. I am able to get things done on my own and help others do the same. And so I think it's, a blessing and a curse, because we grew up quick, but because we did so, we were able to experience so much more because we were able to do it on our own and not have to wait for others to help us. We were able to accomplish it. And so that has helped me a lot, and I am so grateful for my family and for all of my siblings that I have. And even though I know it wasn't easy, I wouldn't change a thing.
Because Mom was pregnant all the time, and because we had a big family, like, I grew up fast, but that doesn't mean that I didn't have fun. And I look at these people now that I'm going to school with and that I am associating with, and it's very interesting because I see some of their attitudes be like, I don't have time to have fun. I don't have time to be crazy or to have that inner child expressed. And I know, like, people would look back on my life and be like, oh yeah, your inner child was, you didn't get to have a childhood. That's not true. I learned how to have a childhood while I was doing hard things. Now, as I'm an adult, I'm able to do the things that bring me joy, that bring me happiness and are fun, while also doing the responsibilities, not feeling like it's two separate things where I can't have fun if I'm supposed to be a responsible human being. It's that kind of thing that I learned during Mom's pregnancies that really I will never take for granted.
I think what we've taken away as a family from all the pregnancies. Having 7 siblings is an amazing thing. I've never ever wished for less. There are just so many blessings that come from it, and I think that's really neat that we have such a good family where our parents have taught us from very young age that family is really important. And I've seen a lot of other families interact with each other, and it astounds me at how wonderful my family is and how well we get along and how respectful we are to each other and to our parents. And that has given me a lot of wisdom, I think, on what I want for my family in the future. Being able to have those experiences that have given me that perspective of, I want a family that is strong and where the kids can take care of each other and listen to our parents and love each other, because I love all my siblings, and some families can't say that. Some families can't say the same, and so I think that's a wonderful benefit that we've come away with through the trials of Mom being pregnant, because it was hard. It was really hard, and it was hard for her, and it was hard for Dad, and it was hard for us kids, but we've learned so much from it.